block party. If any new believers come to this church, we want to be able to get them started in their journey in the one-on-one discipleship process. We've already started that process with some of the members here, but I would like to see each one of you become involved in that process, so that in turn, you can take someone else through that same process. What you do is, we have the materials ready for you. It's real simple. It's really going through, with a new believer, what it really means to be a Christian. Some of the basic verses that reassure us of our faith and our salvation. It's a 5-week process, and you sit down with somebody over coffee, and you talk with them, and just openly. It's not anything formal. And it's something that I'm really excited at seeing our congregation taking hold of, owning, so that when new people come in these doors, and when new believers come, we are able to equip them and to send them out as well. Philippians chapter 2, starting in verse 13. For it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. God is working in each and every one of us to equip us, to get us ready for his will for our lives. I don't care if you've been a Christian for 1 year. I don't care if you've been a Christian for 10 years. God is working in you to do exactly what he needs you to do. Some of us can't accept that. Some of us go, God, why in the world do you use me? I even still ask that question. I look at, why me? I'm nothing special. All of us must come to the point where we realize where we came from, as we talked about last week. We're no better than the dirt that's out there in the bushes outside. We're no better than the dust of the earth, and yet God chose us. It's an odd thought, and many saints of history's past have kind of had a hard time coming to grips with the fact that God would choose us. Even to the fact where the angels are jealous of us. Angels jealous of me. It's hard to believe. And yet God chose us before the foundation of the world. What is he molding you into? It's a question you have to ask yourselves. It's a question you have to evaluate. Is God molding you into a saucer, or is he molding you into a bowl? Is he molding you into a pitcher or a big vase? He's molding each and every one of us into a utensil that he can use. Something that has a different application for different times. Some of us he's molded and made us into prayer warriors that would be out on the street corner Tuesday mornings praying for people. Some of us he's molded into preachers and teachers to equip the saints. Others he's equipped for helps or for mercy, or for many other gifts. It's amazing to see these gifts in action, and a church that is able to recognize this and to put it into action is a church that grows, is a church that is healthy, and a church that is effective in its community. That is one of the things that we are most looking forward to here at Trinity. We're looking from going from a church that has no idea where their direction is to a church who has an idea of their direction, an understanding of their equipment, and moving forward. It's about time we accepted our marching orders. I know some of you have been in the military. You're given orders to do a specific job and a specific task. We as Christians have already received those general orders. Those general orders are 2,000 years old. Just some of us haven't gotten with the program. Luke 19:10, to seek and to save the lost. A general standing order for any Christian. During this process, when we start to become, during that bone-dry, hardening stage in our walks, and I know some of you are there right now, we become so jaded by the world. Our hearts get hardened. We know God, and yet we choose to become distant from him. By our actions, by our words, and by our thoughts. And then trials come, and then we go, oh great, what now? Oh, God, why did this have to happen? I could have easily said that a few weeks ago when my grandmother Is it just a result of Adam and Eve's sin? Or is there a greater purpose? Turn with me to James chapter 1. James chapter 1, starting in verse 2. James, when writing this is the overlying theme of the book of James, is trials. Verse 2, consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work, that you may be mature and complete, and not lacking anything. What does James say that the purpose of these trials are? That you develop perseverance and patience. Now, if you remember, the fruit of the Spirit, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, long-suffering. Against these things, there is no law. The trials build you up into having something called character, something that's been missing in our generation and in our society. It's always been a hedonistic society. What's good for me is just good for me, and what's good for you is good for you. No one is willing to look at what it means to be patient, or to be kind, or to be long-suffering. You can see that on our freeways and on our streets. How many people you see out there have patience? If someone cuts you off, you're automatically, yelling, rack. Or those that are against you, somebody you have a ought against you. You're not long-suffering with them and not trying to work out that difference. In these trials, it works all of these different attributes, all of these different characters that make you into who God wants you to be. It's like the potter taking a vessel. And just before it starts to get hard, he starts taking out an etching tool. And he starts carving in intricate little details of this new sculpture. Whether it be a flower, or maybe he's carving in some old ancient Greek facade, or whatever it may be. God is in the process of carving in these intricate details into you before your piece of art is finished. Go with me down to verse 12 in James chapter 1. Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Throughout history, and we read in the book of Acts and throughout church history of those that have persevered under extreme trials and tribulations. If you compare our trials and tribulations today to those Christians who were under the scorn of Nero, those that were sent to the lion's dens, and those that were sent as fighters in the Colosseum, this is a cakewalk compared to that. And yet, we have to dare say that, this trial is too much more than I can